Rev it up and welcome to Cars Yeah, show number 2111. This week on Cars Yeah, we're celebrating the 35th anniversary of Hot August Nights, where the air vibrates with sounds of muffled rumbles of modified engines, rays of sunlight shine off the polished chrome, and heavy scents of Dapper Dan hair pomade fill the air. To learn more and plan your trip, go to hotaugustnight.net.
This is Cars Yeah, where you'll enjoy interviews with inspiring automotive enthusiasts. Mark Green is here to provide you with a fuel injection of automotive inspiration. So get in, sit down, buckle up, and get ready for a wild ride here on Cars Yeah.
Hello, inspiring automotive enthusiasts, and welcome to Cars Yeah. Today I'm in Indianapolis, Indiana. What better place to go fast with a very special guest by the name of Brandon Bernstein. Brandon, welcome to Cars Yeah. Do you have any gear, and are you ready to release the clutch?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Glad to be here.
Something you've been asked to do many, many times, my friend. Now, before we get into your career and your past career as a racer, what's one little thing, Brandon, that maybe most people don't know about you?
Probably the one little thing is that I was a cheerleader back in the day. Most people don't know that about me.
Okay.
They know about my career and everything, but yeah, so I was a cheerleader back in the day.
All right. Well, now everybody knows. Well, I remember back in high school, we had a cheering squad, and there was a couple guys that were part of that. And did you do all those acrobatics where you throw the cheerleaders way up in the air and hopefully catch them before they slam to the ground?
Yes, I did. As a matter of fact, yeah, we were one of only 2 or 3 male squads that did all the stunts and everything with the ladies, and we would go to camp, and there would be, I don't know, close to 500 girls at cheer camp, and we were the only squad, or well, actually there's 2 squads that had males, and so we got to do all the stunts with all the girls. So that was one of the main reasons why I did it, so to speak.
Well, I was going to say, you're a pretty smart young man. Back in junior high and high school, I took typing lessons. Now, back then, little did we know we would all be at keyboard for our entire lives now.
Yeah, exactly.
But back
right.
then, back then, in the 70s, everybody thought, well, typing class was for the girls that would go and be a secretary. And I remember friends that said, why are you taking typing? And I said, that's where all the girls are. Why do you think?
Makes sense. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely. Well, let me give you a proper introduction. We're going to dive into a fun world that you've lived. Brandon Bernstein is the Director of Partnership Marketing at Lucas Oil Products. He's the son of 6-time NHRA Champion Kenny Bernstein. He and his father became the first father-son duo in NHRA's 50-year history to win at the same national event when they doubled at the Summit Racing Nationals back in April of 2001. Brandon has a long and successful history in racing, having worked as crew members, crew chiefs, general managers, driving, racing, and winning. He has the distinction of having the most successful career launch of any other Top Fuel or funny car driver in NHRA history, winning 5 of his first 13 starts. Whoa, dude. Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks.
In 2012, Brandon was selected to drive the MAV TV Lucas Oil Top Fuel Dragster for Morgan Lucas. You listeners will remember Morgan's been a guest on the show here. Brandon has 19 NHRA Top Fuel career victories on his resume, and in 2020, Lucas Oil recognized a winner and welcomed Brandon Bernstein as their Director of Partnership Marketing. In his role, Brandon is responsible for all Lucas Oil athletic sponsorships, which supports Lucas Oil grassroots racing initiatives. We'll be back in just a moment, but first a word from our valued sponsors, so give them a little listen. Keep your seatbelts on. We're going to be riding fast today with Brandon. We'll be right back. My friends at Covercraft offer you 10 different options. That's right, 10 for your vehicle's protection. You can choose from Weather Shield HP, HD, Sunbrella, Ultratect, Reflect, Form Fit, Custom View Shield, and their newest 5-layer all-climate cover, 3-layer moderate climate cover, and a 5-layer indoor option. You have all sorts of ways to protect your car. All of these are custom tailored by Covercraft's talented craftspeople. It's the form and fit with the quality to attention to detail that's been their standard since 1965. Surface protection is the best way to preserve the investment you've made in your vehicles. It's what I do. Covercraft protects cars, trucks, motorcycles, RVs, trailers, and watercraft too. I have a Covercraft cover for every one of my vehicles, and I've got a deal for you. If you use the code YEAH21, YEAH21 at covercraft.com, they'll give you 10% off your order, plus you get free shipping. That's right, 10% off and free shipping. Just use the code YEAH21 at checkout. Covercraft, protecting the things that move you. Did you know American Collectors Insurance isn't just for your automobiles? They also insure your valuable collections of automobilia and other collectibles. If you're like me, you've invested in a lot of cool collectibles over the years. Those items are valuable, and if you were to lose them in a theft or a fire, well, try to get your normal homeowners insurance to pay you what they're worth. Good luck with that. American Collectors Insurance provides you with assurance and confidence that your collectibles are fully covered. They insure a lot of items, including automobilia, wine, baseball cards, books, figurines, die-cast models, model trains, glassware, sports memorabilia, toys, and a whole lot more. American Collectors Insurance, they've been protecting us enthusiasts since 1976. They provide you with an agreed value insurance policy backed by a long history of taking care of their clients. Give them a call today for your personal agreed value quote at 866-ACI-YEAH. That's 866-224-9324. Tell them you're a friend of mine, Mark Green's here at Cars Yeah, American Collectors Insurance. Classic car insurance designed by collectors for collectors. Automotive enthusiasts just like you and me. That's American Collectors Insurance. So, Brandon, let's, I was going to say, normally I say let's dive a little deeper into the corner, but you're into drag racing. No corners involved in drag racing. So let's just buckle up tight and wait for the Christmas tree to light up. This racing career, I want to talk a little bit about that first before we get into what you're doing at Lucas Oil today. My goodness. Now, having a dad like Kenny kind of got you started. It sounds like you were born with motor oil in the veins, right?
Yeah, so to speak, definitely. It's kind of funny though too. I didn't drive anything as a kid growing up. I played soccer all my life, club ball, high school ball, and then 2 years at college. My dad was always like, let's get your degree first and then we'll see where the racing goes and everything. And so my racing career really started out of college, and I worked on my dad's team for about 6 years as a crew guy. And then he gave me the shot at, going into the A fuel class, which is the alcohol dragster class in 2001. And that's when I went to 9 finals, won 5, 6, 7 races, something like that, and won Rookie of the Year. And that's when we both won, like you said in that intro, that we both won the race in Vegas there and everything. And it was just kind of a natural fit for me. It was like you said, it was in my veins, and it just clicked. And so then I got that kind of my feet wet there, and then went back on my dad's team in 2002 for his last year in the Top Fuel car, and then in 2003 was my rookie year, and that's when I started my career in Top Fuel.
This sounds like fun, and it's interesting to me that you didn't do any driving before you got out of college, but your father's a very smart man. He wanted to make sure you got your education first. Most of the time you hear about these drag racers starting when they're kids, and the mini dragsters. I've had many of those guests on the show here, including some women that became champions as well. But it sounds like to me, having worked around your dad's team and just through osmosis of visually watching everything, kind of the business back end of racing, that then when you finally got to sit in the seat, did it come kind of natural for you?
It really did. And that's exactly what it was. I mean, I did thousands of runs in my head, just basically watching the car and watching him and learning from him and listening and talking to him after a run and just basically being engrossed in the racing side of it in day-to-day, operations, and really learning everything there is to know about these race cars and from the ground up. And that's really what really catapulted my career in learning so quickly in these driving situations.
And you've worked for some other interesting teams as well. So it sounds like you got out of the scope of your dad's world and got a lot of experience in other teams, including some very interesting ones, right?
Yeah, definitely. So I was very fortunate enough to be, like I said, with the Al Anabi team, and that was the Sheikh of Qatar, which is the Prince of Qatar. Yeah. And so I got pretty close to him and got to, actually run his pro mod teams. So I was the GM for his pro mod teams, and he had 5 of those cars at one time running. And so we were pretty busy with all those, and we spent close to, I don't know, a month long over there in Doha in the winter, and we ran those cars over there to get ready for our season in the States. And so it was an experience, and it's a lot of fun, getting to know the Sheik a little bit better, and then obviously being over in Doha is a whole nother world.
Oh my gosh, I can't imagine. Yeah,
Yep.
That must have been fascinating. Well, let's roll into more motor oil in the veins, if you will, and jumping on board in the middle of a crazy pandemic with Lucas Oil. Now, here's a company that, my goodness, has certainly been in drag racing. The name is virtually everywhere when it comes to racing. How did that connection come together?
So obviously we were on my dad's team basically in the Budweiser days. When my dad was driving, we actually brought Lucas into drag racing. They were the first sponsor that we had as an associate sponsor in drag racing. And they'd never been in drag racing. I remember to this day sitting in the office in Corona, California, doing the deal with my dad and sitting there with Forrest. And Forrest was pretty adamant about the spot that he wanted on the mud flap, the top of the mud flap. He wanted that Lucas name right up there. And so we did the deal with him, and it was awesome. I mean, so I've been around the family practically all my life, or at least most of my racing life and everything. So they were a sponsor on my dad's car for many, many years. And then obviously when my dad retired and I took over, that we were still sponsored by him for all those years that I drove. And then when we decided to get out of the racing side altogether, my dad retired and got out, and he sold the team. Then I went to actually Morgan and said, hey, I'm looking for a ride, and Morgan had his second car there, and so he gave me a job as a hired driver on his second car, and so I drove for Morgan for 2 years. So Morgan and I have been really close friends, and we raced against each other, when I was driving for my dad. So we were good friends for a long time, and so that's the connection there.
So you must feel like you're back with another family in essence, right?
Yeah, it is. I mean, honestly, it is. It really does feel like that. I've been very close to Forrest and Charlotte, all my life. And obviously with, being great friends with Morgan, it does feel like that I'm back with the family. And it feels like that this is, a place that I kind of call home.
Yeah,
so it is really nice to be involved with this company and be with these people.
Oh yeah, you're certainly fortunate. That's for sure. So let's talk about your role there now. Since you started in 2020, Director of Partnership Marketing. Talk more about what your involvement is, what you do for Lucas Oil, and what you do to help support other racing initiatives and teams and people.
Yeah, exactly. So we're so basically what I'm in charge of is all the motorsports for Lucas Oil. And when I say all the motorsports, I'm talking tracks, our ambassador program with all of our ambassadors that we sponsor, our teams, basically all of our series sponsorships, all of that is under me. And so with that entails, close to what are we at now? Close to 400 sponsorships that we have with all the motorsports, and
wow.
Whether it be NASCAR, IndyCar, NHRA, sprint cars, midgets, asphalt, dirt, whatever it is, we're involved in everything. So as you know, I mean, like you said, our name's synonymous
everywhere.
in all of racing. So
yeah.
Pretty much everywhere. And so that's kind of the crux of what I deal with. And whether it's, monetary or product, we have, sponsorships all over the place. And so that's kind of my involvement. I do have some other, stuff in the marketing department where I take care of some other properties, but mainly it's all motorsports.
Very, very cool. Well, Lucas is one of those names that, gosh, since I've been around, you just see everywhere for forever. I remember even seeing their name on little decals when I was building models as a kid. I mean, they've just been in the racing industry forever, and it's absolutely brilliant. And what they do to help support racers and keep them on the track and entertaining all of us is quite spectacular. Let's talk about a key driving inspiration for you, a mentor, someone in your life that's really helped you get to where you are. Could you share some stories about who that person might be?
Well, the main person is really my father. I mean, my father really, was a major inspiration in my career and obviously, where I am to this point. He was always, obviously not so much the racing side, but really the business side. And as most people know, we had an IndyCar team, we had a NASCAR team, we had the drag team back in the day, and my father had a sports marketing team also that went alongside all of those. So he's very instrumental in teaching me the business side of things and how to run these teams and run businesses and things like that. So he really is the main reason where I am today and how I kind of modeled, my life after his, and try and really, learn as much as I could, throughout the years of being on his race team and learning, how to deal with contracts, how to deal with sponsors, how to deal with, the racing side of it, and, learn as much as I could, during all those years. It's just, it was just really, amazing to really grow up that way and really know and learn as much as I could, having him right there with me throughout all those years of racing with him and racing for him.
That's like growing up getting an MBA year after year after year.
Yeah. I mean, it really is, because he's an amazing wealth of knowledge. And he, I got to learn a lot of that from him. And then also my grandfather, when he was alive, I mean, he was around quite a bit, and he obviously, taught my dad a lot in business, and it was good to learn a lot from him also.
How would you advise maybe a young person these days that wants to get into a racing career? Are there a couple, there's a lot of complexity to this question, of course, but is there a couple key things you might offer a young person that says, I want to go racing?
Well, the thing is, you have to be passionate about what you're doing for that. And obviously it takes a lot to, I'm not just saying monetary, but it takes a lot of dedication. And this dedication is going to come with ups and downs throughout your career, and you can't give up. I mean, the one thing is if you're making a commitment to race for the rest of your life, or at least part of your life, is you're going to have to, make that commitment and be, the kind of driver that you want to be, throughout your lifestyle and everything. And it's gonna be tough sometimes. It really is. And whether it's the monetary side or whether it's the racing side, you can't win all the time. And one thing that my dad taught me was that you can always look good, and that's the one thing that sponsors really look at, and the one thing that sponsors really care about is your appearance, the way you carry yourself, the way that your equipment looks, all that kind of stuff really comes into play. And I really believe all that.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely right for someone like myself and other listeners today that follow racing. There's always those drivers that don't carry themselves well. They don't speak well. They say bad things about other people. They always blame everybody else. And you kind of start to feel like, well, you can have all the talent in the world, but I don't really like you that much. And your personality's not that great. Yeah, I think that's what you're talking about, right?
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Very good. We'll take a short break. Thank our sponsors again. When we come back, we're going to talk about a challenge, kind of a silly question to ask a racer, especially after what we just discussed, but I'm going to ask it anyway. So sit tight, keep the seatbelt strapped tight. We'll be right back. AutoGeek's Blackfire SiO2 spray sealant. It's a spray-on, wipe-off sealant that's quick, safe, and easy to clean and protect your vehicles. I love using it on all my cars. AutoGeek's Blackfire SiO2 spray sealant is a spray-on, wipe-away sealant that uses SiO2 ingredients to provide a slick, brilliant, and long-lasting shine. Silicon dioxide is known to be one of the most effective ingredients in car care products, and Blackfire spray sealant takes advantage of every stunning feature it has to offer. This sealant will protect your paint from road film, dirt, and other common contaminants while providing an impeccable, long-lasting, hydrophobic surface that forces water to sheet and bead on your paint for months. Go to autogeek.net to get yours and for the best product selections on the internet today, along with their skilled technical support. Autogeek.net is where I go for all my detailing needs. That's autogeek.net. Check them out today. Linkage. It's a new quarterly publication and website that covers the automotive market, driving, restoring, collecting, and discovering your passion for motor vehicles. Linkage is about experiences, opinions, and values. Linkage is an actual informed, reasoned opinion based on first-hand experiences. A talented linkage team covers the automotive world, the people who share your passion and mine, smart, considered, rational, and experienced opinions. Ones you can learn from and grow. That includes our passion that drives auctions and the collector car market. So come with me and join us on this journey. And be sure to use the code CARSYEAH when you subscribe, and they'll give you $10 off. Boom! Linkage, geared for the automotive life. Subscribe today at linkagemag.com. If you're listening to this program, there's a pretty good chance you believe what I believe, that the collector vehicles we love are more than just a means of getting from one place to the other. They're a part of our culture, our identity, and as a people, they bring us together at vintage races, classic car auctions, and 1,000-mile rallies. That's why I support the RPM Foundation, which exists to ensure that the critical skills necessary to preserve and restore these important vehicles aren't lost to time. RPM stands for Restoration, Preservation, and Mentorship, and their goal is to inspire the next generation of vehicle restoration professionals through its outreach programs. And they include Shop Hop, Off to the Races, the RPM Future Class, and many others. These programs engage talented young people across the country and connect them with mentors and a variety of opportunities in the industry. For more information on how the RPM Foundation is driving the future of collector vehicles skill trade, visit rpm.foundation today. So let's talk about this big challenge question. It's kind of a silly question for racers, but it's important because these challenges face us with things that could cause failures, catastrophes, difficult times. But what the most important part of this question is what did that particular situation teach you so you can move forward into a positive part of your life? So take us on a bit of a rough ride.
Probably the roughest ride I ever had, and it was an actual crash. I mean, it was my 03 crash in my rookie year, and obviously when I was having that amazing start to my rookie season and winning those 5 races out of the first 13, and having the best start of the career, we were leading the points, and I was going on a tear that obviously was you never know, but I mean we could have won the championship that year, and it was unfortunate because I fractured my T3 vertebrae and separated it and was just out for the rest of the season. But it was one of those things that I was determined to get back in the race car and determined to get my body healthy again and get my mind right. And the one thing that you really have to focus on is your mind and know that you have to be ready for whatever these cars or whatever your job entails. It brings you to be ready to go to that next level and to be ready to go again, get back in the seat and be ready for whatever it's going to give you again. So, I was very focused. I knew that I wanted to be back racing and had the determination to get back in and try and win a championship that next year. But I just was physically, I wasn't able to get back in the car until the following year. But that was really it. I mean, it was definitely my crash and how I responded to it and really focused in on getting healthy and my mind right to get jump back in the car and race that next year.
You mentioned an important thing here, and that is getting your mind right, the mental part of it. So many people, athletes in particular, talk about the mind, the mental capacity is the key factor in being successful, whatever sport that you're in. And it's the same in business. What are a couple ways that you did get your mind right to get over that hump of, number one, getting yourself healthy, of course, which means a good mindset about physical nature, health and food and all that kind of thing, but also to get over what might be that lingering thought of, oh man, what if this happens again and it's even worse? What are some of the ways you got your head straight?
Well, I mainly focused in on doing the best that I could and not make the same mistake I did. So as a rookie, I made the mistake of not doing the throttle pedal the right way, not lifting, when it was out of control. And basically, so I knew that I'm not going to make that mistake again. Mm-hmm. The other thing is it just like, making sure that, my head was in the right place as far as like, I knew that I wanted to race again. I mean, some people have wrecks and they know that they're afraid and they're not going to get back in a car. Well, right. I didn't have that. I didn't have any of that in my head. So, you have to be clear-minded and ready to get back into these cars because these cars, they're, 11,000 horsepower.
They're scary fast.
They're legit.
Yeah.
They're legit cars that can kill you. And it's something that you have to be focused on and everything. And so, I really just made sure that I knew that I wanted to be back in the race car. And the one thing I knew that once the motor started that very first time that I was going to be back in in my home, basically. And I knew that it was going to be the right fit for me. So.
Yeah, mindset, an important thing. Let's talk about a special vehicle in your life. This could be a street car, or it could be one particular race car that you really have wonderful memories about. Take us on a bit of a fast pass here.
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of that's kind of one of my favorite cars was, I guess, my first car that I got as a graduation present from my dad, and that was my 91 GT, my Mustang GT, and it was a 5-liter GT, and it was awesome. I mean, it was just one of those fairy tale kind of things. As a kid, you're graduating high school, and your dad flies in to come to graduation. He goes, "Hey, we're gonna go look for a car," and I'm like, "Wait, what?" And he's like, "Yeah, we're gonna get you a car." And he's like, "What do you think you like?" And I was like, "Well, one of my dream cars was at that time was a Mustang, and I was like 5-liter Mustang. It's got power, it hauls ass, it's great." So. Yeah. And so we went to the dealership and just picked a nice red one, and it was I drove it right off the lot, and I'm going to graduation the next day in this brand new Mustang GT. So it was awesome, and that's just one of those days that you just never forget as a kid and never forget in your entire life. And that was one of those cars that I just kept for a really long time, and wish I did still have it to this day.
Those things were cool. I mean, they didn't have a super lot of horsepower, like what? 220, 230 horsepower, but they had a lot of torque,
right.
Like 300 foot-pounds of torque. I mean, that's what made those things killer, right?
I know, exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, lucky kid you are, for sure.
I know, I was.
Well, I think your dad saw probably a respectable young man that wasn't going to get a little bit too crazy, because not too many dads would go do that with a kid that just graduated, that's for sure. But he taught you well. So let's crawl into your skull a little bit here and be your car psychologist. If you were reincarnated, manifest as a vehicle, what would you be and why? This isn't what you want to be, though. This is how you perceive yourself, Brandon, the guy in the mirror.
That's a good question. I think maybe like a 69 Camaro.
Ooh. Okay.
Just because it's such an iconic, car, but it's got some meat to it, but yet it's classic and can just roll up on anybody and not know, what's inside of it, and just got some really nice lines to it, but yet I know that, don't mess with me, that this can be serious here.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I guess for a guy like you, now it's probably got to be an SS, right? I would think.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely. Such a great era for those cars. I mean, 68, 69 was just so delightful. And I had a friend up the street whose dad was a general manager at City Chevrolet in Mission Bay, San Diego, where I grew up. And his dad was so nice. And he said, "Hey, Mark, when are you getting your driver's license?" And I said, "Well, next week." So he brought home a brand new Z28 for me and said, you can take this to get your driver's license in, and if you pass, you can keep it for a week. Now, I don't know if he was a car salesman, so maybe he thought my parents would buy me a car like that. There's no way they would.
Right.
But I remember that thing was bright yellow. I pulled up to the DMV in San Diego, and this guy comes out. You listeners who've heard this before, bear with me, but it's such a great story. And he had his clipboard, and he looks at this car. He looks at me, gets in, he looks over at me, and he goes, "This your car, kid?" And I said, "No, sir. My neighbor loaned it to me." And he goes, "Your neighbor loaned you a brand new Z28 to take your driving test in?" And I said, "Yes, sir." I said, and he said, "If I pass, I get to keep it for a week. So I sure hope I pass." And he said, "Yeah, I sure hope you pass too." I passed.
Exactly.
I passed, but I was quite nervous because I had only driven that thing.
Oh, I'm sure you were.
One day before. But I tell you, I hated giving that thing up at the end of that week. That was a tough deal.
I'm sure you did. Absolutely.
Yeah. Ended up buying a car from him for $600. It was a 67 Chevy Nova 4-door, total grainy car. Wasn't quite the Camaro, but you know what? It got me to the beach, so I'm grateful.
That's right. It got you around.
Yeah, that's for sure. So let's share a great book with our listeners that you've really enjoyed reading.
You're going to love this. I I don't read, honestly. I do not. I never have. I read books, as you know, obviously studied and everything in college, but I do not
just
read
not
books.
Your thing.
As a hobby. It's not my thing. I don't do it. I just
well, how about is there maybe
listen to music?
Maybe some car magazines you like to get? I mean, there's a few of those left these
I don't
days.
even.
No,
I know, it's funny. I don't even look at those, to be honest. Hardly. I really don't. Sometimes I'll look at Racer magazine if it comes into the office or something, but for the most part, I don't like reading anything, to be honest. I watch movies and I listen to music, and that's about it.
Well, fair enough. Well, you know, Racer Magazine is cool. I mean, I had Paul Fanner, who's the founder president, and you know, Racer Media, Racer Magazine, and so forth. So yeah, he was a guest on the show. Good. But I understand. So let's go on the ultimate drive. Something you've done, probably the ultimate race down the drag strip. But I'm going to allow you to go on the ultimate drive. I'm going to buy you any vehicle in the world. I'm going to send it anywhere in the world you'd like to go drive, and you get to take somebody with you, even somebody from the past who isn't with us anymore these days. For a guy like you that likes to go down a drag strip real quick, what does an ultimate drive look like for you?
That's a good question too. I would say probably a Bugatti.
Oh gosh.
And
you don't like to go fast at all, do you?
No, yeah, it's got to be that, and I would say probably somewhere, you know, out maybe in the desert, you know, somewhere maybe in Doha or something that you can just. Their roads over there are just unbelievably flat and straight, and you can just get on it and just go forever and not worry about any kind of issues with anything, and just, you know, see what it can do.
Wow. So, now, who would you like to take for a ride in that Bugatti?
Yeah, that's kind of a hard question there too. I don't know. It'd be kind of tough. I'd say maybe my grandfather. It'd be kind of fun to have him back and take him for a ride in that thing, because he was always coming to our races and everything, and it was always cool to have him around and everything. So I'd like to have him back and be able to take him on that ride.
Can you imagine taking somebody from your grandfather's generation, putting him in a new Bugatti?
I know, right?
They would just go, what? How many horsepower? How much does this cost?
Yeah, and how much does this cost?
Oh my gosh.
Exactly right.
Yeah, that would raise an eyebrow or two. Cool. That'd be pretty fun. Well, you've taken us on an awesome ride today, Brandon, and I can't thank you enough for spending some time with us today. This has been great. Before I let you go, though, could you share maybe some words of wisdom, inspiration for our listeners?
Yeah, the only thing I could say is just, you know, keep grinding at it. You know, obviously in this world of sponsorships and racing and everything, it's tough sometimes. But if you just keep at it and keep racing and keep trying your best to be up there and do, you know, everything you can to succeed, then I think that you'll one day feel that you've done it. So just keep grinding at it and go after it, bud.
Yep. Never give up. How can people learn more about Lucas Oil?
Go to our website. Our website's, you know, real informative, lucasoil.com, and we've got a great website that you can look at all of our products and everything, and obviously, you know, we're in all kinds of stores. We're in O'Reilly's, we're in AutoZones, we're pretty much everywhere. You can Walmart's, we're in all of it. So, you know, obviously you can pick up any of our products in those stores, but lucasoil.com has got a wealth of knowledge online and everything. But yeah, we love our products, and we love our consumers, and we try to do as best we can for everybody.
Absolutely. Easy to find Lucas Oil. And of course, if you missed my talk with Morgan Lucas, you can go back and find him on the Cars Yeah website. He was guest number 2039. Interesting talk with Morgan. And of course, growing up in a family with a father like Forrest, and what that brand means to him, and how the company was started and where they're taking it. Great talk with Morgan as well. I want to do a shout out thank you to Amy DeMuth at Rad Strategies for introducing me to Brandon. Amy, thank you for bringing me another great guest. Brandon, thanks for being so generous today with your time and your expertise and sharing your fast-paced world with our listeners. What a life you've had, my friend. Until you and I talk again,
yeah, you got it.
I'll see you down the road. That is if I can keep up.
Yeah, you got it, man.
And don't forget that Lucas Oil is a sponsor of Hot August Nights. To learn more and plan your trip to this fantastic event, go to hotaugustnights.net.
Thank you so much for joining us on today's ride here at Cars Yeah. Drive on over to carsyeah.com to find show notes and inspiring automotive fun. Download your free copy of Filler Up, a fun book filled with gorgeous photographs of fuel filler fun, including quotes from more inspiring automotive enthusiasts. Download your copy today, and we'll see you next time on Cars Yeah!